Hey there. So I know that for some of you, today might have felt a little bit rushed. And I want everyone to know that we are definitely going to be going over this again tomorrow. But for those of you who like to feel a little bit more prepared while doing the homework, or who just want a nice recap, I wanted to go through that example problem at the end of class a little bit slower and in a little more detail. So let us quickly perspective here. Okay. So in that last part of the notes today, where I talked about the setup, I want to talk about how we do this. So as was mentioned, when we are setting up a problem like this, we always want to start with what we know. And so the question, I'll ask the question again. So the question was, how many centimeters are in 3.74 inches? Okay. And so as mentioned, we always want to start with what we know. So when I set up a problem like this, I always start setting it up by putting in what has been provided to me, 3.74 inches. Okay. And then the best way to keep track of dimensional analysis, and people will say that you can do it anyway, and you can, it's just math. There are other ways that you can set it up, but I have found that this to be the most successful way to set things up for students, so that you are making sure to put the conversion factors the correct way and making sure that you're multiplying when you should multiply and dividing when you should divide. So I like to set up what we call our train track, or what really should be called a monorail, because it's only got one line down the center. So we put what we know in that top left corner, and then we're going to start out by putting in some conversion factors. Now, if we look at our notes from today, we were given a conversion factor from inches, between inches and centimeters. Now, you can either go from centimeters into inches, or you can go from inches into centimeters. It doesn't matter. You just need to use the correct arrangement for what you've been given here. Since we are trying to go from inches into centimeters, we need to get rid of inches. Inches need to cancel. So that means that I'm going to put inches on bottom so that they cancel out. So I'm going to put 1 inch on bottom and 2.54 centimeters on top. And so this way, my inches cancel, and I'm left with centimeters, which is what we were trying to solve for, right? Okay, the next thing to note is that in dimensional analysis, when you set up these train tracks, things that are on top, you multiply. So you multiply on top, and conversely, you divide on bottom. Okay, so in this case, what is that going to look like? Well, let's take a gander. So here's my calculator. I'm going to type in 3.74, and just always start from the left. Type in 3.74. I'm going to multiply anything that I see on top, so times 2.54, and divide by things on bottom. Well, I could do that. Divide by 1. Okay. And I'm going to get an answer, 9.4996. 9.4996. And that would be units of centimeters, because my inches canceled out. Now, did I need to divide by 1? Let's see. 3.74 times 2.54. Oh, I get the same answer. Okay. So if 1 is your number, you don't need to multiply or divide by it. You can kind of skip over it, because anything multiplied by 1 or anything divided by 1 is the same number. So you can kind of ignore that part. But if you like to do all the steps, you can definitely include it. It's not going to give you the wrong answer. Now, the question is how do we appropriately round this? Well, something to remember is that these are conversion factors. Conversion factors have infinite sig figs. The 2.54 and the 1 inches, that's a conversion factor. It's a defined value. It has infinite sig figs. 3.74 inches, that is a measured value. And so that determines our sig figs. Okay. So when looking at it, 3.74 has 1, 2, 3 significant figures. Now I'm focused on significant figures, not place values, because we're doing multiplication and division. So I need to worry about sig figs, not place values. Looking at my number, 4, 9 is my first sig fig, then 4, then 9. This digit is then going to tell me about any rounding, which in this case, the 9 is going to round the next 9 up, which is going to round the 4 up to 5. And my answer is going to be 9.50 centimeters. Okay. So hopefully that will help you feel a little more confident as you're going in and approaching the homework tonight. Again, we will go over this in class, but for those of you who want to know and feel a little more confident going into your homework, I wanted to provide something to allow you to do that. So hope everybody has a good night trying this. We're going to continue working on this tomorrow, and I will see everybody on Friday. Thanks all.